Welcome to the GameRamble video review for Refunct, narrated by me, Darkcloud. As always, the full text version of this review can be found on the GameRamble website linked below. The TLDR is that Refunct is a short and sweet indie game that provides players with a surprisingly relaxing first-person platforming experience. Jumping around and filling grey squares with green grass just by touching them is quite soothing, and you'll soon find yourself easily pulling off moves like wall jumping. The whole thing can be completed in under 30 minutes and there's no risk of dying, which might be a little boring for action fans. However, considering the low price and entertaining gameplay, there are far worse ways to spend those 30 minutes. Gameplay receives a 7 out of 10. The game is fun and relaxing, but over a little too soon. Graphics receives an 8 out of 10. The visuals are pretty minimal, but everything looks great and fits the game's mood. Sound receives an 8 out of 10. The audio in Refunct is also relatively minimal, but once again very fitting. The overall score for Refunct is 7.7 out of 10. And now for the full review. It's not very often that the words first-person platformer go hand in hand with calm and relaxing, but that's about the only way to describe Refunct. It is a first-person platformer that gives you a simple task and a tranquil environment in which to do it. The task is nothing less than restoring a vibrant world, but don't worry, it's infinitely simpler to accomplish than you may think. Refunct has no death-defying traps, snarling monsters, obscure puzzles, or bloodthirsty opponents to deal with. Instead, it's a single-player title where it's impossible to die, and everything is so simple you don't even need a tutorial to show you the ropes. The first thing you'll notice when starting Refunct is that you're in the middle of a seemingly endless body of water, surrounded by imposing grey columns. Stepping on the grey square results in it being covered in vibrant green grass, which means you'll quickly be hopping around trying to convert everything in sight. You may also notice a red beacon of light shooting up at the sky and make your way over to investigate. Upon reaching the light, you'll find that it originates from a button that, when pressed, causes more platforms that were just under the water to rise. With each new set of columns you uncover, reaching all the grey squares and buttons becomes a little more challenging, but it never feels impossible, and you have more than enough tricks up your sleeve to get to them. Since you cannot die, you are free to explore your surroundings without the fear of doing anything wrong. While initial blocks and buttons can be reached with just a few short jumps, you will soon discover that your character can wall jump to reach higher spots. Then some lifts can take you higher, and springboards can provide an extra boost. Reaching some spots also requires you to crouch down low or use the pipes dotted around. While exploring, you might even spot a couple of cubes floating around in places just out of reach. Collecting them is entirely optional, but making the effort rewards you with a couple of unique achievements. Refunct doesn't have any story, but the text accompanying the achievements appears to be designed to make you reflect. The achievements all have names like "What drives you?", "What makes you, you?", "What makes you smile?", and "Do you do what you love?". There's no need to collect any cubes, but they add some extra incentive to try a few trickier jumps. Refunct is a nice looking game, and while it doesn't have a ton of detail or a vast game world, it is quite soothing in the eyes. To add even more visual polish to the game, the developer has implemented a short day and night cycle, contributing to the atmosphere while playing. The audio is just as minimalistic as the graphics, although the music is quite relaxing. The lack of any voices or jarring sound effects combined with the stylish visuals and tranquil gameplay makes Refunct a great game to chill out with if you don't have the strength for anything else. Just because Refunct is a very relaxing game doesn't mean you can't challenge yourself. On average, it takes about 30 minutes for players to complete the game, but it also lends itself nicely to speedrunning. This is why after the game's release, the developer also included a couple of achievements to encourage speedrunning, such as one for finishing the game in 8 minutes and one for completing it in less than 4. Both of these feats can be accomplished with a bit of practice, making Refunct a nice entry point for players interested in trying their hand at speedrunning. Refunct doesn't do much, but what it does well, which makes it hard to criticize. The game is concise, but this is also reflected in the bargain price at which it's being sold. Paying for a game that can be completed in less than 30 minutes might not sound like value for money, but the low price and replay value more than compensate for that. Having said that, the playing area Refunct is rather tiny, and we would have definitely liked to see more. The single level available feels like it's just an introduction to a larger game that never appears. The inclusion of an editor and Steam Workshop support could have gone a long way towards endearing the game to more players and making it a favorite among speedrunners. As it is, Refunct is a nice little indie gem that offers a similar feel to games like Mirror's Edge, but without any of the stress or worries. If you have some loose change left in your Steam wallet and want to kill a few minutes without taxing yourself too much, then Refunct should definitely be considered. Thanks for joining me for this Refunct PC review. Remember to like, subscribe and share. Until next time.